Okay, we're gonna start the video like this with my umbrella, but I'd rather have it over here. Okay, my umbrella like this over my head. So part of my head, just like I got no head, I got half a head, no head, part of a head. Like I'm so white that I don't even exist, right? Because you can't see me. Canadian made, American made, Chinese made, Japan made, wherever it's made. Where should it be made? Where should it be made? That's the question. Where should it be made? And why should it be made there? And why should I buy something that's made there when I can make it here? And how much more does it cost to make it here? And what is the relevance of the cost? Where do the materials come from? And do we actually need what we can't have because it's more expensive and it moves the money all around the world until whatever we own here? Imagine if every single country had $100 and we had to buy from every single country. After you buy something for $1 in every other country, that $1 is everywhere else but here. So what do they do with the money that came from here? Well, they come here and they buy everything that's ours, and nothing is ours anymore. It's somebody else's, run by our own governments, but it's run by somebody else because they have all the money. I think there's like a correction that has to come in here. Something is wrong. Something, since I was a child, something is just not right. Who gets to tell who what to do? Who tells who what to do? Ironic. Ironic. What is private? What is general? What is your left arm? And what is my arm? My arm is me. What is my navel? What is the ocean? What is the air force? By the gravity of the pull? I talk a little bombarded with words that maybe you can't make sense out of, because I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to give you all the words in what can be a story and make up your own from what I said. I'm going to give you a dictionary, and from the dictionary, make a story. I'm going to give you a thesaurus. I'm going to teach you about verbs and adverbs and adjectives. I'm going to show you a geometric shape and an obligation that has to happen on paper. And you will always end up with two things on paper because what I was taught, 180, 90, 45, all the way around 360, but 180, I just turned around and went the other way. What is a loop? I want to just put this down and just talk about loops right now. And what's ironic about a loop is that, let me get this. Here's a loop. And because of this loop, I'm going to see if I can show you this a little bit easier. Because of this loop, when I put my pen in here, right? If you're traveling up the loop, remember the pen is here. If I put this in a straight line, okay, hold on a second. If I put this in a straight line and go 5 inches, look at that. Underneath here, we'll only see the angle and read it up to a certain distance, and then it'll disappear. But with a loop and a twist in the loop, right, is I follow the loop, I go up the loop, and 5 inches, all in the same area, all can be read. I like to call that sort of like streaming. And then you have many loops and another loop. And you keep on looping. So these 3 loops, do I get the 3 loops out? Or the fleur-de-lis is telling us a story in the loops. And apparently, in a story I read, is the story real? And the color is really not red, but I say it's a red story, so it comes from minus, the minus when you're in the red. I read the story. The numeric value 27, win a big red sun, red. 2 times 7, 14, DNA, red. D500, red. Why 500? Well, the Romans told me that. Roman numerals. D is 500. How do we arrive at 500? Why am I just starting on one track and off onto the other track? Is it another direction, another dimension of a direction? The alphabet, geometric shapes. Anybody see my, I had a black I had a big black thing over there to block the sun out while I do videos, but this is doing just as good. I like to call him Gokong. I think that's what his name is. The most powerful, and I don't know if I want to say fierce. But you know what? We're not up for challenges. We're up for those who want to defeat the purpose of the major commandment. I want to be your friend. You do your thing, I'll do mine. I still want to be your friend. How can I be your friend? If I play my music louder than I need to and it affects all my neighbors, I'm interfering with their space. You know, I went to the ATM the other day and it said Chase. I go, who am I chasing? So I look it up. The ATM Chase is an American bank. ATM machine. American bank? I'm in Canada. So I can't understand the money thing. Shouldn't, if you're an American, you should have your American money and have your American things and have it American made? But if it costs more, so should we run away and get it done elsewhere? So if it's American made and we get it done elsewhere, then aren't we defeating the purpose about having jobs? When some people don't even want to go to the job, some people aren't capable of going to the job. Some people aren't physically or mentally capable of going to the job. I've seen it, and I've been there before. Should we have to support these people? We sure do. But they're going to have less because they can't afford, or they can't afford to have more because they don't have the capabilities of having more. So how much less should they have? And what is enough to make it fair? But then there's those who abuse. I ran out of food. Why'd you run out of food? Because I ate it all. Why'd you eat it all? You had enough food for 3 months. Well, if you eat like a pig, you have enough food for 2 months, but in a week you finished all your food. You had enough cigarettes. Cigarettes? What do you mean cigarettes? I don't understand. Nicotine and additives and all kinds of stuff. What's a cigarette? What was a cigarette 500 years ago? Doesn't science come from the land? Why do we have to alter science until our bodies can no longer, oh, take this. Don't worry, there's side effects. We're not sure about long term because we only tested it for the last year. Things that have plants, herbs and spices have been tested and used for hundreds and hundreds of years, although sometimes they don't work as quick. Well, I didn't ask you to start late. I didn't tell you to eat 25 burgers that have no nutrients. I didn't tell you to put pesticides on the field. And I spoke to a farmer last year and he says, well, if I don't put the pesticides, they're going to eat all my plants. What about something natural? Well, it doesn't work. You sure it doesn't work? Or you haven't tried it? Or have the seeds and the plants been so altered that we're not sure which way to go? It's like snow and heat. You can melt the snow, but if it snows too much, you can't melt it off. And after it snows, it starts to get hot, and the snow doesn't melt away. It's April, and there's still snow outside. It hasn't snowed in months. But wait a second, it snowed today. So I think about snow, and I go to my fridge, and I take out some ice cream, and I look at my ice cream, I turn it around, and you would figure snow is made from water and turns into that snowflake, right? But I looked at my ice cream, and there was no milk in it. Ice cream is usually made with milk, and I says, well, maybe ice cream is not made with milk. Maybe ice cream is just made with water and sugar. And then I looked outside and I saw something else, and I watched a program, and they're showing me that there's stuff that blows in the air that doesn't melt. White powders that can float in the air that don't melt. Things that are white that float in the air that don't melt. Okay, fine. Everything's great. You know what I couldn't understand in the last couple of weeks? Everything is locked down. Nobody's flying. No planes are supposed to be in the air. And I see a plane going this way and a plane going that way and a plane going this way. And I got a telescope over there. All right. I got a telescope over there. And I'm looking at that plane and I'm saying, something don't seem right. I'm looking right at the plane and I'm looking, and there's the gasoline is coming out the back, or the diesel or whatever it is. But that thing was able to look close enough that Wasn't coming out of where it should come out. It was like coming out of jet stream sprayers of some sort. It was like really ridiculous. I couldn't figure it out. Then I looked up some things online and it said, global warming, we have to spray the skies. And I read another article, and the other article says, don't believe what this guy says, and this guy says what that guy says. And you know what, global warming, what do you know about global warming? How many years does it take before you can actually measure the global warming? Who are the scientists? Where did they work? Who taught these scientists to know what they think they know, they actually do know from what they were taught? The elements of basic nature. So I tend not to believe everything I see, and I'm hoping that I'm in a situation that I don't need to believe any of the Neirischkeit. And I just go on. What I do like to believe is when I hear somebody saying on the radio there's lots of traffic, I tend to believe that when I get to an area there's going to be lots of traffic. The news traffic reports are pretty much spot on, but not everything I see. I was on one of these Waves or something, or was it Google Maps, and it showed that there was all kinds of traffic and the roads were blocked. And I drove, none of the roads were blocked. I'm saying like, huh? Was my GPS on my phone not working? Another GPS. This is during the summertime, and then my GPS was sending me somewhere else. So all these things and these mechanics and these computers and everything else, they don't always work perfectly, and everything you see is not always what it actually is, and there's so much hacking and slashing going on. I'm starting to think a reboot. Hack and slash. The TV sets. Listening to who, telling me what? I don't understand. What are you trying to say? Do you want to prove something to me or change the way I see things? I believe what I believe because I read 1,000 things and I said up and up and up and up and up and up, and bipolarity of every situation, showing me the differences so I can have a better understanding for my own vibration. At what level can we have our own mind decide on what is the reality that we live? I have a friend of mine who lives in a dark room in the basement where it's really not fitting for a person of his, I mean, it's not for me to tell him where to live, but I found an apartment for him that was like the same price. And I showed him, and it was near one of my friends, and it was clear and it was bright, and he's having a little trouble breathing. And I found it was a little like musty in his apartment, but he was afraid that the owner, and his bath doesn't work, but he's afraid of the owner is not going to fix his bath. I don't know. Something's wrong in my apartment. I like to call the owner. Say, listen, we got a little problem here. And when it comes to the electricity, I'll put on an extra coat rather than turn up the dial. I'll put on an extra coat. And if something for $2 breaks, I'm going to fix it. And I'm not even going to say anything to the landlord because sometimes I can fix things myself. But I thought it was a little foolish. My stove broke last year. It cost me $40 to fix. And I sent them the bill because it's in the rent. What am I supposed to do? Do I send the landlord the bill when it's in the rent? The fridge and the stove? If it breaks, do I just fix it myself? I'm paying an extra $10 or $15 a month or $5 a month to have a fridge and a stove. So if something happens, I reckon I should ask for my money back. But if there's a scratch on the wall, I'm going to fix. If I do any damage in here, I'm going to fix the damage. And if something's going wrong, I'm going to try my best to fix it so that he doesn't have to spend any money, and etc. So I wanted to talk about Roman numerals. Did I say anything in this video? I want everybody to be humble with each other. Humble. And I was talking about money. You know, I was doing the groceries the other day and bought $35 in food. Like 5 little things. The kid put it in a bag and gave him $1. I never do that. Never give. Why should I give people who are already getting paid tips? Tipping is such a funny thing. Tipping is such a funny thing. I want to be nice to you no matter what. If I'm in service, I'm going to be nice to you no matter what. Now, if you're not nice to me, I prefer you just not come back to my restaurant. But if I'm nice to you over and above, and my salary includes that we should be tipped, if I don't present myself, 5, 10, 15, 20. What's the 15% rule? The 15% rule is if I'm not that good or I should be doing more, I'll leave 10. If I was fantastic and it's a poshy restaurant, I'll leave 20. But if it's a poshy restaurant where you're going to eat for $200, that 15 is already, boom, counted because the food is more expensive. So I'm just trying to jog a few things around. You know, one of my friends works at a restaurant, and it's a fast food restaurant, and there's tips. There's only girls, only women work at the cash, and all the cashiers keep all the tips, and everybody else that works there doing the cooking and cleaning get nothing. So the question is, when I go there, do I leave a tip for a service that I'm not actually getting from anybody, of a basic service of passing? It's like if you go to Loblaws or if you go to any store, do you leave a tip for the cashier? I remember I was doing a project on something. I was building some cabinets a few years ago. So the guy who was doing all the woodworking and cutting up my cabinets, I gave him a tip because he did precision. It's good for the morale, and it's just good. Sometimes it's just good to do certain things. Gave him a tip. Another friend of mine, every time she fills gas in her car, she's always giving a tip. I'm like saying, why do you give him a tip? And it's like, then I say, you know what? Washed my windows, did all these things, I'm giving him a tip. But sometimes I think tipping is, hey buddy, here's a tip. Like, that's all you deserve. No. You're a person. You're a person. I'm a person, human being of light, coming to the planet Earth. Even if it's a little distorted, the planet, a little bit like Levi's. Why do I say Levi's? You know, and which reminds me, is somehow I believe that, see this here, right over here, there's our planet. See that, those two weights, you can weight the planet off so it sways one way or the other. Somehow there's a split sky. Did I just go from one subject to the next? You know my buddy ball in the back over here, you know, buddy ball basket. So to end the video, you always got to be nice to everybody. Got to be nice to everybody. If somebody's not nice with us, you got to just not go there. But there's a lot of people not nice, and for some reason, what makes people not nice? And there's another subject I can get into. There's a really crazy subject I can get into, and it's being talked about all over the radio. And I think what they call it is, I like to use it in the comedy shows, and they call it the heckler. And what this heckler does is he purposely comes into the theater to heckle, to say things to the comedian, and people around start getting mad. So we get security. If we didn't have the heckler, we wouldn't need the security, because we wouldn't have people making other people mad. But they put people, they'll throw people, paid people, in certain situations. I'm on a few websites where they purposely put a person to say all the opposite and make everybody mad and make everybody talk, just so more people can talk. And the more you talk, the more clicks, the more likes, the more this, the more crypto, the more memory you need, the more you can expand the computer system, the more you can expand the computer system, the more you can listen to everything I say. And by now, with over 8,000 videos, you probably know what I eat for breakfast every day. You probably know everything and every single move I make because of this. You can probably get a robot to just be doing this all day. Sometimes I don't type right. Typewriter, right? Sometimes I don't type right, speak right, even say the right thing. Hoping I never say the wrong thing. Don't want to say anything against anybody. But I don't say the right thing on purpose because I really don't want to be followed around in that perspective of all this. Anyways, let's get into the last part of the video. Number 2 and 5, I like to call the TV set. This is where Q comes in. Q is that TV set. 33, bring them back to back together, which is actually E3 or 5 and 3, electric company. 11 craps. What does 11 craps mean? Now I have to get into this 20 minutes into the video. I don't think anybody's still here watching. Maybe there's one. I mean, you know what's funny about my videos is that you go to the theater, You stay right to the end, the music and everybody that's been there. My videos, they make 3 minutes, they put it to the end, they say he's still going, whoosh, we're gone. So electric company, right, which is number 5 and 3 on this corner, which obviously 24, the 9 lives of the cat. Electric company, 9 lives of the cat. I'm going to do this in my next video. Raphael 7286 in a constellation of Pegasus. I went around the corner and somebody was cooking and they didn't have a permit. I need a permit for this and a permit for that. So scared. We're all so scared. We're all so scared. Are we so scared or somebody that makes us scared? Lemon juice. You can't sell lemon juice. You can't have a lemon juice stand anymore because, first of all, sometimes you have to take that chance. It's just sometimes, oh, well, what if they put something in the lemon juice? What if I can't trust them? Well, they're going to get in trouble if you can't trust them. Well, if we can't trust, there's so many little teeny weeny things and control in the chaos. You need a permit for this and a permit for this and a permit for this and a permit for this. One good reason about this is to keep control of those who are always taking advantage of the system, but to control the rest of the people while controlling those who are devastating the system. So one of the reasons for having permits, and a fishing permit, because you don't want to overfish the lake, right? But there's just a whole lot of things. You need a driver's permit, you know, to know that you drive, right? Do you really need a driver's permit to know that you drive? We need to fix the roads, but just, anyways, it's all, I mean, I just like putting things in order. For me, let's go secretaries of the world, nurses of the world, who get everything in order so that one boss can come in and pick up all these things and say, this is what we got. Let's discuss it. We got it all in order. But we need the round table to work. We need that round table. One, it can't be a one-man show. It cannot be a one-man show. It cannot be a one-man show. Not enough. We need more decision makers, and it can't always be the blue tie. Can't always be the blue tie, and everybody has to understand the whole story, not just part of the story, but the whole story. And who's telling the truth, and how do we know what the truth is? Oh, there's so much to do out there. We're going to get it done. Raphael 7286 in a constellation of Pegasus. If Pegasus came to see me 15 years ago, then she should be coming back very soon, because I have arrived in my 15th year. Between tomorrow, the 17th of April, and May 6th is a very squibbly time in my life, because I started working between that time. Write that down, blockchain, so you know everything I did. And by the time I saw Pegasus in the sky, and today is actually July 4th for those who don't know. The 16th, it's the half-life, it's the day of the spirit. On the 16th day, this is the July 4th that counts for the spirit in birth, because the reverse of 16 is 19. And I just can keep going on forever. The roulette wheel is telling me that it mirrors between 16 and 19. They flip over and they become one, or it bends this way. See, the roulette wheel is 36 numbers straight, right? What happens if we just bent it and had 18 going this way and 18 going this way? You see what happens when it bends? First of all, we're all going this way, right? But I fold one side, this side will go this way, this side will go this way. Now, what we had covering all one side, now we that side and that. Do you follow what I'm saying? Using up the entire space. The French would say accent aigu et grave. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, and it goes over the letter E. I'm not sure if it's the capital E, the small e, or any E at all, but E-I-E-I-O, 59, 59, 0, Einstein, Neptune. I'll do that in my next video. Thank you for watching.